Hi there and welcome to the next episode in my Citroen Relay van build series. So in this video we're going to be starting to tackle the shower. But before we do that, I'll just give you a little quick update on what I've been up to over the last week or so. So I've been cracking on with quite a few bits and pieces. We've got the brackets tucked in here for the bed frames. That's the end brackets for the IKEA Scorvers, and just had to cut a little hole in the solway panels there to get those in. And we have the ones for the top bunk there, and the ones underneath which just sit below the solway panel, but just cut a little groove in the wooden boarding down below. So they're all in position and fixed, and they fix into the metal beam going this way at the top with riv nuts, and again at the bottom in the metal beam that way with riv nuts, so nice and strong and secure. We've got the reading lights in and the power sockets in, and the same up above, reading lights and power sockets. What I've done up here is I've used a piece of the ceiling board to go in there, because the solway panels, as I've mentioned before, aren't quite tall enough to fit. So we just finished that off, and in actual fact here, by the time you got the bed frame in, and then the bed struts, and then the mattress, and then the pillows are going to come to roughly about here. So this bottom piece here is going to be behind the pillows, so I think that's going to look a-okay. Over the other side, again we've cut the holes for the bed frames into the solway panels, and actually once the Scorver bed support is in there, you don't actually see any of this. This is all hidden behind the bed frame and the bed support, so that's all right. At the front here, I've started building out the box section for the seat frame. Haven't actually fixed it all together yet, because I'm waiting for my slot cutting bit to come from eBay to cut the slot there to put the T-trim in. So that's all kind of just sat there ready at the moment. And down at the front here, we've built up the step. Let me move the shower tray out of the way. So the step has been built up to the appropriate level, and underneath here we've got again another piece of that white wall board under there, just curved underneath to finish that off. And I'll have some LED lighting underneath there shining down, and although you can't quite see it at the moment, there is a little hatch in there which is going to be a little cubby hole for shoes and bits and bobs and things like that. Right, so let's talk about the shower. Okay, now one of the problems that I've had in this van build is, because I've put my bench seat sort of so far back because of a very special table we've got to go in the middle there, which you know, will be seen a bit later on in the build. Let's get the orientation right. What I've ended up with is, if I put the shower tray in that way round, which would be usually the correct orientation with the plug hole here, that lines up absolutely perfectly with a chassis member underneath, which is a right royal pain in the backside. And I don't really want to turn the shower tray round like so, because although technically I could, this lip here on this end is designed specifically with this shower tray to fit underneath this Thetford toilet, and the lip sits up in there as a nice sort of method of stopping the water from going down underneath the toilet. So that really wants to be at the toilet end. And also, of course, vans traditionally tend to slope from the back to the front. So if the plug hole is over this side, water is going to pool over here, unless I set this up so it's on a slight angle to the back. So all things being considered, that's a bit of a nuisance. And also my original thought process was to actually have this as low as possible and have it almost sat down on the floor. If I do that, because of my pretty slim gap here to get the toilet in, there was no way to actually get my heating pipe through the back here, around the back of the toilet, of any real sense. So just wasn't really working out very well. So what I've decided to do, as you can see here, is I'm going to build it up on a relatively high plinth, and put the shower and the toilet higher up. I've checked where the hole for the toilet cassette will be, and that still fits nicely into a sort of flat piece of the side of the van, so that's all okay. And one of the advantages of having a L4H3 van is, if I just somewhat precariously stand on the shower here, so now I'm stood what would be in the shower tray, and I've still got plenty of headroom above me, so my head isn't banging the ceiling. So actually, to build that up on a plinth is going to be the right course of action, because then what I can do is I can run my heating pipe underneath to get to the garage and to come up into the shower. I can run my water pipes and electric pipes underneath, and also with the orientation the correct way round, like so, the waste then doesn't actually need to go down through the van in that place. It can come down, do a 90-degree bend backwards very slightly, and then go down, missing the chassis member, and exit the van that way. Or I could sort of go across it at an angle. I've got a few options there of how to do that, to miss that chassis member, so I can go in that way around. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to build the shower up on a nice high plinth, and then get the sides built and crack on. So let's do that. Right, my son Harry here is doing a cracking job of just preparing the plinth here, of measuring and cutting the timbers. And being a baking hot day, we've got the awning out above us. Look at that, that's doing a good job of keeping the sun off while we're attending to this. So with a quick lesson on how to use a miter saw, and a definite preference to not lose a finger, and he's doing a cracking job of cutting these bits of wood. Excellent, well done. Right, let's crack on with that, and we'll come back to this when the plinth is done and finished. It's a couple of days later now, and as always, you never get these things done in one go, do you? But anyway, let's have a catch up on where I've got to, and we'll carry on with the shower build. So the plinth is now in place. Although Harry did a cracking job of making that frame, we didn't really allow for the heating pipes. We've had to chop great big gouges out of it to allow that to come through. But anyway, it's all measured and it's screwed down, and that's in. I've cut my hole through for the waste there, so the actual waste is going to be here, and then the pipe will tuck underneath this piece of wood and then down through the van there, and that's just up the side of the wastewater tank underneath. So that connection is going to be nice and simple. And I've prepared a piece of ply for the first part of the backing panel here. Let me just move that out of the way and show you what we've done behind. And then behind here, I've started making the frame for the back. So what I'm going to do, my intention is that this is going to run fairly straight up to probably about here, and then just angle very slightly at the top to marry up with the end of this board here. But the back of it is essentially going to be vertical and straight. And I've only I've only actually lost about inch and a half at the back here to do that. And what that's allowed me to do, as you can see, is I've got my water pipes and my gas pipe nicely in behind here, out of the way. So the only thing underneath the shower tray is the heating pipe. And as you can see, I've also cut the hole for the toilet. I didn't film that because in actual fact, fitting that is really no different to fitting a max fan on the roof, or a window, or the micro hecky. The process is exactly the same. You just cut the hole, loads of splodge, put it all together, wooden frame on the inside, and Bob's your uncle and Fanny's your aunt. So that was all quite straightforward, really. And one thing I liked about that is from the outside, was I can still access a lot of this pipe work. So even though it's going to be buried behind this wall, you know, from the outside you can still get it, all of this. And my little gas connection there, I've had to join the two bits together. Again, ideally located, that's straight underneath the where the toilet cassette is, so I can get it that later if I need to as well. So I'm all happy with that. And what I'm going to do for the shower connections, I think, is if I tap into this pipe just about here, so it's off to the side so it doesn't affect the toilet, and then these pipes can run up into the mixer shower. Again, from externally, those connections can be kept an eye on and monitored quite comfortably from outside. Right, let's get this rear wall built and the shower mixer fitted, and crack on. Right, okay, so the shower itself, I've decided to go with this little fellow here, which is specifically a caravan thermostatic shower mixer, and it's called a Douche 003, and I got that from a company called Jack and Jill Bathrooms, of all things. So the orientation is, it sits vertically like that. It's nice and lightweight. So that would be, again, my hand would be the back wall. So you've got temperature control on the top, on off on the side, and your hose pipe connection goes on the bottom. And that comes with a fairly normal selection of things: the two connectors, two shrouds to go over that, and the rubber filters, you know, which go in there. But anyone that's connected a shower in a domestic house before knows full well that these things are a pain in the ass, because you know, trying to get those fixed and solid to support the weight of that is never easy. So what I've decided to do is I've also bought from Jack and Jill Bathrooms this rapid fitting kit, as they call it. Because of the distance apart of those, these shrouds that come with it are not going to be any good because they're too big, so we can dispose of that. But these, as you can see, have some brackets on the end. So what I'm going to do is make up a piece of plywood for these to fix to, and then that bit will just stick through the wall, and this will be fixed from behind. And then that will screw onto there like so, and this will be fixed and solid in place, so it's not going to move. And how I'm going to make the water connection there, the other thing I liked about this is inside there we've got a little olive. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put a piece of copper pipe in. I won't tighten it all the way now because that would be really stupid, but that will tighten onto there. So that will come through the wall that way. Then I will put weld a little elbow in like so the pipe is then facing down, and then a little tail on there. And then what I've got are these 15mm to 12mm connectors. So if you imagine this is my tail hanging down from my elbow, that will go onto there like so. And then my 12mm John Guest flexi pipe can come straight out the end there. So that will come up, elbowed in onto the piece on there like so. That's the general gist of that. And then this will all be fixed solidly in place, and then this simply can screw in afterwards on this side once the PVC back panel is in and everything's done and finished and sealed, because these are going to be fixed and they're not going to move. So this will just simply screw on afterwards. That's the theory. I'm sure it's not going to be quite as simple as that, but that's the plan, and let's do it. Okay, so I've cut my pipes to the roughly the right size there, and I'm just going to put these little inserts in to support the end of the pipe. That is much easier to do with a pipe up on a bench, but never mind, we're getting there, Let's bring the hot one in and push. Right, so I'm just making these connections here behind this panel before we put it in. So these pipes here that go down underneath the floor, they're the ones that go through underneath the floor to the other side to feed the sink. And the main feed in is going to come across the top here from the water pump at the back. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is use another T-piece just in here to then connect the boiler and the shower this way. That goes down under the floor to the sink and up and round onto the water pump. That should work okay. So let me do that. Not sure whether these are the right things to use. I got these for cutting heating pipe in the house, but it seems to do the trick. So there's one. Let's have that one a little bit higher so they're slightly offset from each other. Like that. And of course we've got to fight like hell to try and get these end pieces in again. Right, okay, so one of those on the hot, that, another one on the cold. So they, yeah, that's all right, because they'll tuck just out of the way of the cassette there. So now I need to measure a piece of pipe to go between the two. I think one top tip from my experience of doing this, and also from doing pipework in houses, is these plastic inserts you will always use a lot more than you ever think you're going to use, so make sure you buy plenty, and they're not that expensive, because you don't want to be held up on the job by running out of the plastic inserts. Okay, so I've prepared a piece of plywood to go in the back, and we've cut two holes, and as it happens, just by chance, with those two sat right next to each other, that is precisely the right distance apart, so that couldn't have worked out more perfectly. Again, my other top tip is always use the right drill screw bit for the screws. So don't use a PZ2 where it's a PH screw, and don't use a PH bit where it's a PZ screw. Just all you're doing is just making life hard work for yourself. Okay, good. Right, next job then is to make up these copper bits. So obviously I don't want to make these both exactly the same depth, because they're going to get in each other's way and interfere, so one needs to be longer than the other to hang down the back. There. So, right, now I'm no plumber by any means, but you know, we love to give these things a go, don't we? So let's get those in now. Right, I can ask Harry to grip onto that like so. Okay. Okay, so one thing I do know, even though I'm a complete and utter novice at plumbing and welding, is we do need to clean all that flux off. So let's do that now. Give it a nice buff with the old sandpaper. Okay, there we go. Like I say, not the prettiest in the world, but it looks like it's solid all the way around, so I think that should be a-okay. Right. Okay, so the idea is that's going to go through from the back, pop through there, and then that's going to have a compression joint there to fix that into position. So what we're going to do, I think, is make sure I got the longer one of the two at the top. Yeah. Whack a bit of Fernox around there as well, just for belt and braces on that, because this is going to be very difficult to get at afterwards, and I don't want this bad boy to leak. Okay, well, that's the idea. Right, let me have a quick recap of where we've got to. So my shower fixings are here, and I fixed it to a piece of plywood which is fixed into the frame at the back, and then my shower mixer will go on there like so, and when I'm stood in the shower, that's going to be just about sort of tummy height, so that's nice and comfortable, so that's good. And that connects then with those copper pipes that I made onto my 12mm plastic, and that comes down, tees into the connections here. I've got a tee off here coming for the toilet, and then here the hot one goes underneath the floor to the kitchen sink the other side, and the blue one here, we got the main feed coming in from the back where the pump is, and then that again tees off and goes underneath the floor to the sink, and along this way to feed the toilet, feed the shower, and then on to feed the boiler, which is the other side. Let me just come round, and there down underneath the seat frame we can see the red and blue pipes coming into the boiler there. Right, the next part of our shower build is to do a quick pressure test on those joints that I've made. So here's my sort of bracket on the back here, and the tails are just dropping down underneath there. Sorry, it's very dark in here at the moment. We've got all the doors shut because it's tiddling with rain, but never mind. So put the shower head on, and it's turned off, and young Harry here has got our air pressure tester. So what we want you to do, Harry, is the white bung is to put on the front one here. That's it, and then the black one on the back. Okay, right, grab the foot pump. So that connects into there, and operate the pump.
What, with my hand?
Yeah, just with your hand now, it'll be fine. It's going to be quite stiff. Okay, so we're up to 25 psi, which is just over 1.5 bar. So let's give that 10 minutes and see whether it stays put. Okay, so I've pressure tested both connections here, and the second one is still holding strong at 25 psi after 15 minutes. So I think we're all good. So I'm happy that my welded connections in behind here and the connections at the front here are all good. So now the backing ball can be put on and everything's sealed up. So that is the next job.